Welcome to Chapter 9 of our It Is What It Is run through The Evil Within. If you remember last time, we started Chapter 9 in the last video. We covered kind of the introductory part where we got, I guess, out of the catacombs beneath the church, the caves underneath the catacombs underneath the church. We wound up coming into a lab where we met Dr. Jimenez again, and he was telling us about this world, that this world is some sort of construct where everyone connected to what they're calling the stem is sharing the generation of this world. But that Ruvik, the one who's basically the host, is the only one with conscious decision over what's going on in the world, on how the world is constructed. The rest of us are contributing at a subconscious level, which puts us at a distinct disadvantage to Ruvik. And this is the first time that Ruvik is going to become an actual threat to us. In the previous times, every time he showed up, he would manipulate the surroundings, the environment, and we'd wind up separated from our friends and in a place. But right here is the very first time that we're going to encounter Ruvik as Ruvik inside the stem. And you cannot let him touch you. He will walk towards you at that slow, steady pace. If you run fast from him, he will use a blink and teleport towards you. But during this chapter, you have to run from him. You have no choice. You just have to get away from him. And the best way to do that is to find a room, like that room back there has a large dining room table in the middle of it, and you can use that as a circle path to just circle around and circle around and circle around until the encounter only lasts that short amount of time. This is an easy fragment, or an easy key to miss. I don't know why. I mean, it's clear as day up there, but you have to actually look up, and it's hard to make yourself look up. You're usually looking at a level that's not up.
What do we have here?
Now, these are interesting puzzles. You actually have to listen to the recording while looking at the diagram.
Subject number 58, test 92A, electrode placement in M33, pain region, ineffective. Anticipate greater results with stimulation of section F7, the consent region of the neocortex.
So he's talking about he gets results by stimulating the F7. So you have to map that drawing to where that will be on the brain that's in front of you. Insert the probe there. When you do that, this liquid will start coming out of the chamber.
Is this, what did you call it, your inner sanctum? A research lab of your own? I am most impressed.
Why are you back? I didn't give you permission.
Come now, we're both men of science. Men of science are dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. You can show me your experiments. I can show you things.
You wouldn't like them. You'd think they're gross.
In science, one must do any number of things a layperson may find disgusting. I've done many things others would consider distasteful.
You think I'm some kind of a monster?
You concern yourself so much with your appearance, but that mind of yours, that's all that matters.
That's Marcello. Is that Ruvik with him?
So this is the chapter where you're going to find out who Ruvik was before he was Ruvik. I don't know why I didn't pick up the parts off of the bomb I disarmed there, but okay. That axe is really helpful for this guy. It makes it kind of a non-event. It makes me laugh though. Okay. So at the end of the last episode...
That looks like the same red liquid.
Okay, so now you see that there was a skull. We did the puzzle with the skull. The liquid came into this, and it looks like we've got to find 2 more of these sets of skulls to do the 2 more I don't know what to call them, hydraulic components to that door to open the door. In this room you find, this is where you will typically find the first of the safe dials. And if you look at the painting above it, there are 2 people in that painting. So you need to remember the number 2. It doesn't wind up being important in this playthrough because we're playing on casual. You just have to put the dials on the safe and the safe will open. On survival and above, you have to understand what the puzzle was. And the value on that dial should be the value 2. So wherever you put that dial is where you should turn it to the value 2. As we go through this set, we wind up finding out that this is the mansion that Ruvik grew up in as a child. So I don't know. Obviously, this is a warped world, so you never know if it's the exact layout of the mansion or if there's things about the mansion that are not realistic in this world. But you've managed to tap into Ruvik's subconscious here so that while he's the one that's consciously controlling the world, you've managed to get to a spot where he's revealing something about himself, which is different from... There are 11 people in that painting, by the way. So even though he's in conscious control and you're only subconsciously contributing to the environment, we've managed to come to a place where we're getting information about our host. I can't help but wonder if that's not on purpose, whether or not that would be on purpose from Ruvik's perspective, whether or not he wants you to understand who he is, or whether or not you've somehow found a back door to gain information that might be useful to you in surviving being around Ruvik and maybe that's why he's now aggressive in this location. He's actively trying to force you out or to finally kill you because he doesn't want you to have this information. Each of the documents you find in this area. So this is Ruvik's room note. So this was Ruvik's room at one time when he was a child. There aren't a whole lot of threats that come up during this part of the gameplay, other than the constant worry that Ruvik's going to show up and be a problem. Mostly it's kind of common zombies that you're dealing with in this portion of the gameplay. But the traps are kind of everywhere, and there's a very large trap coming up. It's unusual that we encountered Ruvik at the same time that this trap popped. That had never happened in any of my other gameplays. I wasn't sure what to do. I got super lucky. I mean, it's pretty clear what you're supposed to do to stop the trap is shoot the red light at the top of the trap. But it's actually kind of hard to do. But I felt like I got super lucky and I got a good shot off right at the beginning. Ended it. I have no idea what would happen if it had drug me farther on with having blinked and appeared further down. There are traps and things. I won't be able to get through the next door standing up at any sort of pace. And so I was very worried that Ruvik was going to come in here with me, and I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to do about it. But luckily enough, I I found that if you use like your normal run, this kind of joggy run, it works better than if you sprint away from Ruvik. If you sprint, especially on It Is What It Is, because you can't sprint very far anyway, but the sprinting seems to trigger him blinking, which will cause him to sometimes blink in front of you. If he blinks in front of you, you're just doomed. He's going to catch you. I was trying to pick up the axe and the bottle was getting in my way, so let's throw it away. This is Ruvik's parents' room, so this would be the master suite. Another key in the statue. You can see the keys are coming pretty fast now. I don't know what the first game was that put a secret passage behind, or I don't know if it was a movie or a game, or how the first secret passage behind the fireplace came about. But it's now kind of ubiquitous in any really good adventure sort of game. There's always a passage that goes through a fireplace. I like it, and I'm excited. Even though this was obvious, it was still exciting. Oh, look, there's the passage in the fireplace. Still felt good about it. So now we're going to encounter our next skull. Have to once again listen to the audio and look at the diagram.
Subject number 12, test 71B, electrode placement A2, stimulation of amygdala, seat of emotion and memory allocation, the fear center of the brain.
So far we're seeing that Ruvik has gotten the best results from using consent and fear.
Oh, Father, if you only knew how satisfying that look on your face is. Did you actually think if you locked me away, I would just cease to exist? Out of sight, out of mind. You did. You did. Didn't you? Oh, you were never out of my mind. I hope you're proud of yourselves.
So from there we see that Ruvik killed his parents. And we should just have just one more skull to find. It takes us a while to find it.
Maximum frequency stimulation of cortical regions has proven less than effective. Subjects scream, but they die much too quickly. New settings achieve better results. The only question that remains is which regions to focus on. Fear, hope, consent, envy. 3 of these are pivotal. But which will open the way?
So you mentioned envy there. We've already seen fear and consent being used. You also saw our foes are getting much tougher. I mean, that guy on the ground, we kicked him, stepped on him, stomped on him, kicked him. And you see that our handgun's not breaking the mask easily anymore. And you could use a match and burn them. I was somehow convinced that I had shot them enough that I should be able to save some ammo by physically beating them, which is really a mistake. I mean, I've lost a significant amount of health, but there is health laying around in this mansion, so, and I know that, so I know that I'll probably be able to fill myself back up. I guess I was feeling reckless. I've gotten far enough now in our Akmu playthrough that I can definitively say that on casual, those are always those wide blue bars. On standard, they will vary. I don't know if it's random or just some are always going to be smaller than others. On Akmu, they're tiny.
More to go.
So on Akmu, I don't disarm them. I use them if I can to destroy enemies. If I can't, then I use them. I just blow them up to get them out of my way, or crouch and walk by them. Here's another encounter with Ruvik. We have a nice circular room. And so you just want to keep him interested in walking towards you at that pace. But see, if he gets too confused, or if he gets too far behind, or if he feels like he can't reach you, he'll start those blinks. So you want to keep him from blinking, because when he blinks, if he happens to blink in front of you, you can't go far enough past him fast enough. It can be a real problem. So you want to keep him just kind of walking towards you. This room's completely optional. I probably should have just used the axe, or shot below the thing. I was very surprised that she got up after that, and then I was surprised that my axe didn't hit her at all. So wound up using two harpoon. That just tells you how much tougher the foes are getting. I mean, these are standard zombies, standard zombie fare for the game, but already I'm having to use 2 harpoons. The axe probably would have worked if I'd have let her get out from behind the curtain. Somehow the curtain interrupted stuff. So maybe I would have only had to use 1 harpoon if I hadn't shot through the curtain as well. I'm not sure. There are a lot of resources in the mansion. Unfortunately, we're not able to use a whole lot of them, but we are getting a lot of component parts from those explosive bombs, those proximity bombs. We haven't been making a whole lot of bolts yet. We've been using the ones we find. We're limited on how many we can carry. At best, you can carry 3 of each kind. The limit says 2, but if you use the preloaded component, you can really get away with having 3. I'm not sure where I'm headed at the moment. Oh, I know what I'm going to fill up my handgun. Yeah. I know I left some ammo back here. And as it turns out, I may have. Oh, this is hilarious. Look how I walk right up to him. He doesn't see me because I'm crouched. How he didn't attack me, I don't know. But that was unusual. Hey, and I did get I'm glad I came back for those component parts. Now, this is what I think I was actually headed back for, where fill up the handgun after having used it to kill the woman in that one room. We've crossed the 150,000 mark on the goo. We're still looking for that 3rd skull that will finally open the door for us. You can see so far, like here we find some more bolts, more harpoon bolts. So we just replaced the 2 that we used on that woman. This is why we haven't been having to make very many of them. This document will, like the document that was at the foot of the horses in the cemetery when we were with Sebastian in a prior video. This document will always be there, just like that document is always there, because it's what keys you on what to do with this. You can see on casual, all you had to do is put the 2 dials that you found in there, and the door opens. At least I assume it's casual, because when we played it through on survival mode the first time, we had to know what numbers to turn the dials to. Now, if you played it through on casual first and you watched very closely, the combination doesn't change. So,
Subject number 14, test 88C, Ruvik priming, temp 3, electrode placement C4, stimulation of the cingulate cortex, Hope Center.
and it's interesting because in his recording that we listened to, he mentioned consent, fear, and envy. Here we're used consent, fear, and hope. And they're always the same. And they're always in the same part of the brain. I found that one hard to gauge where to stick the probe the first time we played through. If you miss with it, it does some amount of damage to you.
Family's usual donation this year.
Instead of
Why would they?
opening
Has the hospital been
the
doing
sequence.
anything worthy of donation?
The Victoriano family has always been a generous contributor. Where are your parents?
They have gone away.
When do you expect them?
Is there something you wish to discuss, Doctor?
I came to inform you that the hospital will no longer be able to provide you with assistance. Materials. Your research will very quickly disintegrate.
How dare you come into my home and threaten me?
So you can see that the relationship between the doctor and his young apprentice, if you will, became sour pretty early on. Always tied to the finances of the hospital, the finances of the family. You see that kind of
About fucking time.
greediness come through from Dr. Jimenez in a lot of the documentation and a lot of the audio tapes that you will hear while we play through the DLCs with Kidman. You hear he's always looking for promotion, for advancement, and the money that comes with that.
All the way. No cure for what I'm going to do to you. Peel pristine skin. Thoughts from the minds. What duty?
Ruvik?
You can see the really kind of evilness of this young child. Dr. Jimenez preys on that. He knows that what the child is doing wouldn't be socially acceptable inside the medical fields, but he has been funding him because the research, the knowledge that's being gained is useful to him, to Dr. Jimenez. And Jimenez he states it over and over through the game. Probably you get more about Jimenez in the DLCs with Julie Kidman. But he consistently says that the ends justify the means, which everybody knows that leads. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer. We grew up being told that the ends never justify the means, that the means have to justify themselves. So to just hear somebody saying the ends justify the means, just the biggest excuse for the most horrendous, heinous acts in history. Normally these resources are useful, but we can't even pick them up because there's. This is at the point in the game when I started deciding that there's probably enough ammunition that I don't have to be as worried about having ammunition. Now I know there is one section of the game that I'm still worried about that, because carrying all these resources that you could be picking up into the very final part of the game would be very useful. So I am still worried about that. But I started thinking that when I play through on Ch09, I may not focus as much on the amount of ammunition as I focus on making the ammunition more powerful. Now the first time you play this, if you don't happen to be looking right and you don't notice that there's locks on some of these doors, and stick a wrong turn there, you can't stand around the blood guide very long at all. But the first time I played through, I wasn't noticing that there were locks on those cage doors, and so I was like, you put me in a dead end, I can't get out of this. But once you realize they're locks, and you know where the locks are going to be, break the locks so you can get through the doors. The first time you go through that's very harrowing. It's hard to get through because you don't know which ones are going to drop. You don't know. You can walk into dead ends. You can also step on traps. You can. At different difficulty settings, during casual you saw that there were a couple of bear traps set about. On the harder difficulties, they're not bear traps. So you have to be more careful. This is going to be a set of cutscenes intermixed with live action that we have to go through that tell
Why was I led here?
kind of the fundamental, the point when Reuben changed, not to Ruvik, but when Reuben changed from being a boy to being some sort of evil villain is because of what happens in this barn. And what happens subsequently to it. It's what leads him to kill his parents, and what just leads him to just in general hate people. There are some resources scattered about on the outside. If you have space for them, of course, pick them up. You see that there's very little we can pick up at this point. Which is good and bad. It means that we're going into what's going to happen in the barn full of resources, but at the same time it's bad in the sense that we only have what we can pick up, so what we can carry. So.
I know you're in here. I can hear you breathing.
Rich bastards. Think they can buy up all our land.
They need to be shown who really owns these parts.
So kids playing in a barn. Angry villagers outside the barn.
Hey, I think there's kids in there.
I didn't hear anything.
I can't imagine the mindset that would. It's hard enough to imagine a mindset that's going to burn somebody's barn because they're buying land. But the mindset that you're going to burn children because they're buying land.
You have to climb.
You can see that Reuben was burned badly. Lord was killed.
I better get out of here.
I found this a fun and interesting physical puzzle. Enjoyed it. None of these physical puzzles are all that challenging in the sense that you're only given a certain number of inputs, and so how do you use those inputs? A couple of wheels. I like that it took a while to come up with the solution of shooting that last crank so that the counterweight would then lift the cage, lift the elevator, if you will. This is so counterintuitive. You're gonna light hay on fire, hay stacks on fire inside of a burning barn when you're trying to get out of the flames. But that key, you know, you can't get the master. Well, you can miss 2 keys if you get lucky. You can miss 2 keys. So you could have missed that key. But that's an easy key to miss, I guess is my point. It's easy to get, but it's also easy to miss. Now it may seem like, if you're not careful, it'll seem like the only thing you have to deal with are the actual zombies that are appearing, coming out of the man of blood. I don't know what to call that. The apparition back there that seems to be all bits of blood, and as that blood comes pouring out, it's raising zombies. It may seem like all you have to really deal with are the zombies. And while that's true to some degree, if you move around much in the barn, if you're not careful, you will get close to the apparition that's all the blood, which I guess is Ruvik. Shooting it does you no good. You can't burn it. You can't do anything to it. You just have to avoid it. But if it gets near you and it'll suck the life right out of you. Now there is some ammunition that you will find laying around. If you time that right, you can, burn the zombies. I'm not doing a particularly good job, but I am avoiding the blood guy, the blood apparition. Once the cutscene ends, you've learned what you're going to learn about Ruvik. The chapter's going to end shortly hereafter. I hope you've enjoyed this chapter. This was an interesting chapter. You learned an awful lot about how Reuben became the kind of evil person he is. He was always sort of evil, but this fire has taken the only thing in his family that he loved. At the very end here, we're going to listen to a conversation where you hear that the father has basically locked Reuben into a basement away because he's burned and his cherished Laura is dead. The mother's not happy about it, doesn't really understand that Reuben's really down there. She's being gaslit by her husband.
Sometimes I hear his voice. The basement.
But Reuben was kind of a normal child,
So close.
had a loving sister, had a good relationship with his sister. The villagers burned them in a barn, killed her, left him mutilated. His father was disgusted by his mutilation, locked him in a basement, gaslit his mother such that his mother never went to his rescue either. And he was left to his own animal cruelty, sort of. You saw him dissecting a pig's head, and then he later carries that on to humans' heads. So that's how the evil was born. We'll see you in the next episode.